Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite latest gaming podcast. Boys, are you ready to take advantage of the Black Friday 20% off sale of Assassin's Creed Mirage, made available exclusively through your in-game ads?
Dude, I'm so excited. I
Say
clicked
Mike
so
was,
fast my Assassin's Creed collection.
Mike was probably the one that was, most likely to see one of these ads because they popped up in like people playing like Odyssey and Origins and shit. Whenever you'd
Log in.
hit the no, it's not when you'd log in.
Pause
it's
menu.
when you hit pause. To try to like or like to try to pull up the map. You'd get you'd get a 20-second ad with just A/B prompts, close or buy now. Like those are your only options. Imagine if it didn't even take you to the store; it just auto bought it. Yeah,
like whatever credit card you got.
Just you got saved. It's just okay, done. No further confirmation required.
I mean, it's linked to it's probably like linked to your Origins account or whatever. So
yeah,
or
it's
just
probably,
like
it could absolutely just auto buy it.
It's just like it's a forced view button, not even a close. It just forces you to go to the store every time and say an exit and say no. I don't want to buy
my favorite
this game.
part of this story was how they're like, "Oops, that was an accident. Sorry."
Yeah.
I've seen so many memes,
time, no less.
So many memes is like, the accident was the flipping the switch on. Not creating it,
because like the fact that it's in there, it can't be an accident. Like you can't just be like, "Oop, I accidentally wrote all this code."
That's the part that
it just happens.
The AI did this
towards the store.
Yeah,
Chat GPT has gone sentient and it wants you to buy Assassin's Creed.
And this is the second time they've done that. Just to reiterate, this is the second time in-game ads have appeared and they've said, "Oh, it was an error or a bug."
An oopsie. When was the other one?
Yeah, I don't remember the first time, which is just proof that that they can get away with this shit.
Yeah.
And they will continue to do so because our brains are already Swiss cheese. So the next ridiculous thing that any other company will do will just push this one out, and we can't focus any longer than the 24-hour news cycle.
It was in 2019, so it was a little bit ago. They were
it was the before.
Yeah. It was also in Odyssey.
It was
of course it's an Assassin's Creed thing. That's the only fucking thing that they would
Valhalla was 2020,
that they have the ability to monetize.
No, it would have been funnier if it was any other game and it was an ad for Skull and Bones.
That's a 5-head move right there. It's like we're getting you in on. Although, didn't they have to refund pre-orders for that?
I mean, I'm sure because it's been a long time. Long time.
I think if it goes a certain length, who knows if there's any regulation.
Like I'm pretty sure Metroid Prime 4 had to refund their pre-orders.
All right, don't get Matt started.
I didn't pre-order that.
I'm not saying that you did, but just reminiscing and lamenting about the lack of Metroid.
An autism rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's not even that bad.
I can just appreciate that they're doing the Michael J. Fox Back to the Future. Oh, you're not ready for that. They're just turning it on, just testing it. They're like, one day
kids are gonna love it though.
It's so gross. It's just disgusting. But yeah, it's like this is clearly was intentional at some point.
Just wait for the ads to be built in such a way so that they've got Subway Surfer going on one part of the ad while the actual ad is going on somewhere else. So
what do they call it when they do the ads during a free throw? Like that's what we'll start getting. It'll just be like side by side.
I appreciate that free throws now take up 20% of the screen, and the ad is now closer to 75% of the screen.
Ad.
Yeah, for sure.
Sports gambling.
Live bet this free throw right now.
I can't wait until
who's gonna hit the next field goal after this free throw.
I can't wait until ads that you could skip are 15 seconds instead of 5. Like, they just like they're like, fuck it. They're gonna
I mean,
suffer. We're getting more revenue.
I bit the bullet and ascended past ads on YouTube and pay for YouTube Premium. Well, because I watch YouTube on my TV, and there's just no like proper way to do any other sort of ad blocking there, and it's just easier to pay the $14 and not watch an ad ever again on YouTube.
This is a bit of a tangent, but did you see that YouTube is trying to crack down on ad blocks again?
It already did on ad blocker, like the most prevalent one. So I'm about to bite the bullet.
They also did one of the accidental spoofs and goofs where they unleashed an update that was throttling
non-Chrome
non-Chromium desktops.
I saw that
because the people were using like Firefox to use ad block to watch YouTube.
Yeah. Fucked.
Although, every time they do that, all the people who make the short, or what the fuck, the extension, they fix it. They always find a way.
Yeah.
It's a constant back and forth battle. I haven't gotten that notice in a while. Like I was getting it for consistently for about like better part of a week. There's like, whenever I would try to pull up a YouTube video on only on the PC, obviously, but it would be like, yeah, like you're going to be like locked out of YouTube if you don't turn off your ad blocker. And I just would ignore it. And I haven't seen it since. So, cause I think there has been an update. I think I remember seeing an update to ad blocker. So
the ad blocker and Google devs are just, going through a real life turn-based combat.
Yeah. Complex courting ritual.
I mean, generally, yeah, because what happens is you do that job well enough, and then Google comes in and buys your company.
Yeah, be annoying enough till they're like, "Fine, we'll fucking buy you."
But does anyone?
Here's your severance package. Now get the fuck out.
Does anyone actually buy Ubisoft's explanation here? I don't think so.
No.
Not a chance.
Again, you can't accidentally just like, oops, I uploaded ads.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like, sure, maybe you didn't intentionally switch it on, but you made the code. Like someone did get tasked with making that a possibility for the purposes of doing it.
Notorious for having like quick links to their store in the games. Like when I played Immortals Phoenix Rising. There's like 3 separate overlays that can bring you to the store.
When I played Mirage, and I'm playing on PS5, I'm getting after any kind of progress or achievement or something, I'm getting like a pop-up like in the UI that's saying like redeem this reward on Ubisoft Connect.
Yeah,
and it was so fucking annoying.
Oh no, the one of the breaking points for me with Immortals was that it had like the multiple types of currency. I was like, dude, this is a fucking $60 game. You can't Mirage, be linking me to a store with Mirage, multiple type.
Yeah, Mirage is like, we're getting back to basics, and that includes a cash shop. All right. Well, let's move on from that because that's just depressing. But who's totally used to?
Yeah. What's less depressing? Let's talk about that.
Using your pop-up in-game ads. It's the mobile gaming industry. Which Mike, you had a story from.
Hey, so you got games on your phone?
I do now have one game on my phone.
Oh,
I kind of stopped playing it. I was kind of
Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I was playing Marvel Snap for a bit and enjoyed it.
I always got Pokemon Go.
Of course, because
I know I always get a notification occasionally when it's like Mike sent gift. Yeah. Then I'll open Pokemon Go and send gift back.
Yep. Usually I need to like fulfill a fucking like research task, and it's like send 20 gifts to friends, and I do have a good amount of friends, but I always send Matt one because I'm building up our friendship.
so we can trade.
Just like our friendship parts in life. But most mobile games are not as popular as Pokemon Go to the polls. You know,
Well, I mean, any game that gets endorsed by Hillary is gonna
Yeah,
gonna be
that's the Hillary
generational.
bump.
yeah.
I mean,
So-
Pokemon Go to the polls is itself like kind of in a slump, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it has such a large.
I mean,
But that's
what's
but
it
that's
been, 7
relative.
years?
But that's probably
Yeah.
still relatively speaking, it's still
Exactly.
profitable.
Yeah. So
7
like
years
that's
for
not
a-
even a worry. Both the games, Pokemon Masters EX, which is the other one that a lot of people play it, and it's same thing. Like it has
What
dips, but then
about
they
Pokemon
release it.
Sleep? That's a mobile game, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm afraid of that.
Like
Nintendo's
some
gonna-
Tracking your
Pokemon
sleep
to the C-
patterns.
Yeah,
Yo, you hook it
Nintendo's
up to
gonna
your
like be
CPAP
in my
every night.
dreams. Yeah, they're gonna be like the guy in Rick and Morty that you could run but you can't hide, bitch. The Freddy Cougar guy. But yeah, so according to this new report, 76% of games launched reach peak revenue within their first year, but only 4% reached this peak during their second year. So like similar to what we're talking about with Pokemon Go, the drop off, that obviously didn't experience a drop off like this, but most games, their first year, if they're successf're doing pretty well, but that second year, everything,
hashtag they
it's same
fell
as the
off.
yeah yeah they're taking the L.
I hit the gritty on their grave.
They're it's part of that like 24-hour news cycle symptoms.
Well, I mean,
that,
mobile
that
games
we
in
have as well.
particular are one of those, like, they're a dime a dozen. There are just fucking thousands of them out there. So like to stand out, you have to stay strong and unique long enough to beat out Fortnite and Call of Duty Mobile.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Don't forget Candy Crush, folks. You can't sleep on that shit.
I
Why,
still see people
I heard a
playing it. It's
person
crazy.
love Candy Crush.
I heard a person playing Candy Crush on the only toilet we have at work, and I was like, dude, you can't be playing fucking Candy Crush when we got 50 plus men in this office and we got one stall. Like, shit and get off the pot, buddy.
But so again, talking about mobile games that have longevity, Candy Crush, Pokemon Go, the larger statistic from this report was that 83% of mobile games fail within the first 3 years of launch. So the statistic that 76% will reach peak revenue and then drop off by that third year. They're considered failed.
I'd like to see the correlation between, not correlation, but just to see how it matches. This data matches up to more quote unquote AAA console or PC games as a service. Yes, because these both occupy a similar or utilize a similar.
Well, there's a crossover with a lot
business model. I mean, their monetization is effectively the same, but you see something similar too, is that the majority of those games fail. You have the few behemoths that just print money, and then the rest just fucking crater after like their initial run.
Sounds like
just the way the costs work is like, the longer the game lasts, you have that baseline cost you have to pay every year to keep the game running, to keep people, creating content to make the game last longer and whatever you got to do for that. And as you spread that time out, your first year you made a lot of money because you got a lot of people playing the game. So, you made a decent chunk of profit there. But your next year, as you're still paying that baseline cost to maintain the game and you're not pulling the same player counts in anymore, you're steeply running into the point where you're running negative quickly. Because maybe you overinvested in new staff because saw such a big bump, so you're like, we got to produce more content for Warframe.
And I think that that's a good point. Like that, there's been an overinvestment in these games, in mobile games in general. And so one of the other articles that I wanted to tie in was that 2023 was one of the worst years for labor in game development, with massive layoffs everywhere. Even with this, the success of traditional video games, just video game companies turning profits, they've just been cutting staff left and right.
At least anecdotally, what are like the investment needs for a mobile game like this? I mean, these studios still have like pretty significant staff numbers. They require a certain level of just that general overhead of
infrastructure.
They are
server
in your mind.
IT
You
department.
want to be like, oh, it's a mobile game that doesn't take as much money to develop and maintain as something like AAA games as a service game. But I have the suspicion that the disparity between them is not as great as you would think. But I don't see despite all these failures of these mobile games, I don't see at least the press response to there being lots of layoffs in mobile gaming developers.
So like I think in general there is a cycle with these mobile game developments, and from this report you could see that of the games failing over 3 years. To Matt's point of once you have the baseline and then you're just adding things to the game to either continue to keep the base of people that you have, or
try
to
pull
bring
people
in
back in.
new
like,
people.
A lot of the times you're just trying to claw back to those big numbers,
and
or just to like a profitable point. So
like I don't know if this is where you're going, but I do want to add something there, and it's like, on the cynical side of things, what is failure being defined as? Because part of me thinks they might just be defining failure as a game being shut down, but that isn't necessarily because it didn't make the money it was supposed to.
Well, I mean, so this report is talking about the money that's being generated from these games, and just the support that they're receiving over their lifespan. So what I was trying to get down to was that one of the other interesting statistics was just 5% of games that have live updates, or have monthly updates, whatever, releasing new content. Just 5% of that are receiving support post 7 years after launch, 7 years post launch. I don't know why I couldn't speak there. So it's just this minuscule number that is that is a project that is continuing, that you may have people staying on with, but otherwise it's like you're getting shuffled probably to a new department for a new project, because it's this quick turnaround and constant turnaround of these mobile games, which, to Andrew's point, they may be just shut down. They may be profitable, but are still just being shut down because of the larger video game industry economics of companies being bought and sold, and especially these mobile divisions being shuffled around, because it was seen as like this big investment, or what should be invested in over these past few years, especially with like streaming being becoming larger and larger.
I'm gonna be really interested to see what gamesindustry.biz usually does, like an end of year, full infographic breakdown of the market, and so to see like where mobile gaming is at, because for the past like half decade, investors are makes sense that they want to invest and keep pumping money into it, and
some
pumping and dumping and being like, okay, this isn't working, we can move on to the next thing, because it's still the highest space for growth within the industry. It's what it has been. that the majority of money from gaming still comes from mobile.
Well, I mean, some of the bigger breakthroughs in mobile gaming, though, were when you got that cross connection to like free to play PC games.
Yep, Fortnite.
When you started to get your Fortnites, your Warframes, your
Minecraft.
Yeah, like when you could start playing that on your phone is when mobile gaming shifted, because now you were taking a quote unquote more premium experience from either a computer or a console. You had found a way to finally bring that over to a mobile device, and you could play with your friends on PC too if you were a psychopath like that.
So
For me, I just think like I think this partially is the business model. Like they are purposely developing these games. They're getting their whales in it for like a year, and that's where they're making most of their money. And then at that point, they're just saying it's not worth supporting anymore. Let's just make the next one where we can capture the same whales and
they take their massive new bonus in the first year, disappear into the sunset.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think, Andrew, and I'll wrap it up with this. I think you have a good read of this, that it's an artificial cycle of them realizing, the games that are going to last a decade, a generation are, 1 in a million, Pokemon Go, Candy Crush, shit like that.
Clash of Clans.
Yeah, Clash of Clans. So they'll continue support on those, but otherwise they could, especially if it's tied to another existing IP, they could release a game that first year, get all the money that they want, have, leave it on for 2 years and have this cycle, where they're just, they're cutting games, starting a new one, and only devoting resources into the 1 in a million when they need to. So, back to Ben's point of not seeing layoffs in this area, there's actually like 2/3 of the studios were conducting layoffs and downsizing. May not have been huge because their departments are smaller, but there was 29% of developer budgets were cut. And that's a statistic for the
yeah, it is interesting
the industry
that you're not seeing, with how prevalent layoffs have been throughout the industry, and how much time publications have given to covering these stories, that I'm not seeing the same level of coverage for mobile gaming. And I think it's probably a inherited bias of, mobile gaming is not, it's
not real gaming,
it's not
guys.
real gaming. Yeah.
If you're a mobile gamer, you're not a real capital G gamer. You might have this. You might be racist. You might be a misogynist, but you're not a real gamer unless you're sitting at your desk, sweating your ass off with Cheetos on your fucking crotch.
And I think that a lot of the layoffs here may not, in a sense, be true layoffs, because I bet because of the cycle of these games, that there's this quick turnaround. There's constantly a new one to get the boom and then get out. I'm sure people are shuffled around. And so like those layoffs don't seem as big, because it's really, an artificial layoff of laying someone off that project, because I'm sure there's a lot of contracted work, and then, rehiring them as a contractor on the new one. But last thing I'll say about this is from the Superscale CEO and founder. So I think this is interesting, having agreed with Andrew's reading of this, failed games being canceled games in the cycle in this industry. It says these are volatile times for the games industry. And talking about mobile games, many mobile game developers are finding it hard to remain profitable in the face of challenges and heavy competition in the mature mobile market and macroeconomic conditions like high inflation. He goes on to say this is a wake-up call for the industry. So, not sure what this wake-up call will necessarily be. I'll leave that to our listeners and to you guys. But
Wake up call means no more Pizza Friday, guys. Sorry. We got to make cutbacks.
Yeah, my last thought is just, again, kind of bridging the gap between this and this is a general software as a service type system, that we're seeing a little glimmer of executives realizing that this is not the path for this is not the guaranteed path forward to success, that like you are going to end up dumping a lot of money and not seeing that return as is guaranteed. You're seeing that with Sony basically delaying 6 of the proposed 12 games as a service that they want to put out. But that being said, I still don't see them abandoning this model, because the ones that they're I mean, we know executives are always out of touch. They're just thinking about, yes, they may realize only one in 1,000 games hit the heights of Fortnite or something like that. But they're like, but I know and believe in our team, and we can be that one. So it's worth sinking, hundreds of millions of dollars, down the drain to then cancel it within a year, because like classic Square Enix, fashion, it didn't meet expectations.
What, you're not excited for Foam Stars?
I just fear that it instead of realizing this isn't the business model, you're just going to see development budgets cut, and things are just not going to be even at the level of quality we currently are getting. That's kind of my fear with all of this and where it goes, because I think you're right, Ben. Like, maybe that we have seen some resistance to it, but I don't think they're abandoning this business.
Well, like what? Helldivers 2 is supposed to be one of their first ones that comes out. That's next year. So that'll be a good litmus test for what it's looking like going forward.
That's not gonna quote unquote succeed. There's no way. It may be fun, it may be good, people may enjoy it, but there's no way it's gonna hit any goal milestone that they're looking for it. Like, I put my money down.
Any goal or milestone's inflated, because we're pushing, for infinite growth.
Yeah, there's no way. But like, there's just no way that property, a sequel to a more niche game, is going to have the cultural cachet to take the gaming industry by storm.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying it'll be an interesting litmus test
to see how they react to it. See what?
Yeah, well, to see if it pulls anything whatsoever, and like what that pull actually looks like, and whether or not that's deemed successful or not.
Speaking of success, Matt, and this does tie into the kind of mobile gaming thing, as we'll get into. It's a bit of a leap. It was like, how would you gauge the success of some of our newest mobile gaming technology in Sony's PlayStation Portal?
See, my connection was going to be releases. That I don't like mobile gaming because touchscreen gaming is bullshit.
But then as soon as you get your PlayStation Portal, where the trackpad instead now is just a touchscreen.
No, that I was going to go more along the lines of like talk about, then you would do the next logical leap is you get your backbone.
And Matt and I were talking last night about the backbone, and it's like how not a viable solution for those of us with big meaty paws.
Yeah. Like the way it holds onto a phone, it just kind of like feels not great. It feels like the phone wants to come out and like puts a lot of strain on the USB-C port. Things like that. Which is why I'm not personally. I also have a phone that's incompatible with a backbone. And
I was gonna ask if yours is usable with a backbone.
No one makes any type of accessory like that for my phone, which is sad because my phone is probably the only phone I would want to use for like a remote play type experience.
You just have to use a controller with
a regular controller and a stand, but like The idea would be that to be mobile at that point, it would have to be inclusive, like held together. And I'm not going to go to Etsy and buy someone's 3D printed clip.
Yeah, they do have those. I'll say they do have those things where you see people like with an Xbox controller that's got clipped to their cell phone.
Yeah, they sell them on Amazon.
So they're more professionally 3D printed.
Yeah,
yeah. No,
I think
I'm
like
not putting
Razer makes one.
I'm not putting any of that on my phone.
Yeah, with yours, I wouldn't do that either. But yeah, so PlayStation Portal.
But like my phone is the perfect
past...
idea for that because of the way the screen is built, like the size of it and the aspect ratio.
Almost like it's not far off of the Portals, is it?
No, that's what I was saying. Like I'm like if you could come up with something that like felt better than the backbone and felt like a real controller in hand, but like had that type of portability with my phone, I would be all in on that over the idea of the Portal more. Yeah. But like I'm intrigued by the Portal, and its launch has been interesting. It's been sold out, which a lot of people point to scalping as a source, which is inevitably going to be part of it. But you had to order it through Sony Direct this first order cycle, and the Sony Direct required, it was a one per account.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. The homies up in the Bronx making a lot of accounts, getting a lot of pre-orders. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's free. It's free to make a Gmail account and
exactly
link that to a Sony account.
And when you want to be scamming, that that extra
my follow up there is
good
luck trying to scalp an accessory.
Yeah, that's my thought. Is there really that much of a market where people need this that badly that they can't just wait for the next?
Because they've already said there's going to be restocks, like at early December. There's going to be.
They already scalped a PS5 too.
Is the scalping in itself an indication of its success? Do the scalpers have a
no? Scalpers are stupid.
That's correct.
I was having a little bit of
I'm not even going to let you finish that thought. Like, no, that is not even close. Scalpers are some of the dumbest people. They see some items.
That's why they're
like,
sitting there
the
making
slime controller for Nintendo Switch. That's going to be a fucking item right there. And they buy out the Switch slime controller, thinking they're going to get like $200 a fucking
the Xbox pizza Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pizza controller, the Pizza Scent controller. That is a hot ticket. That's a hot ticket item for this holiday season.
Fun fact, folks: you can make your own pizza scented controller for free.
Much
and you'd
cheaper.
actually get to enjoy pizza while you're doing it. I
I
mean, I would hate you because I hate anyone who handles greasy pizza and then grabs onto a controller immediately.
We should do a sketch, like commercial for a competing pizza controller. Make your own DIY.
So, what have you seen though about like the reviews and hands-on stuff?
So the interesting thing about the Portal that I've seen is that generally the responses from the people that I've seen go hands-on with it have been positive on what is delivered. Like, it is a DualSense with a good screen, and it does remote play. It's like if you have a setup that plays remote play well, you'll have a good time. But like it is still remote play, so you will inevitably have like one of them that I saw was while playing Spider-Man 2. Slight artifacting on like the windows and stuff as you're swinging through the city, because it's just a lot of high speed motion and graphic generation to push across an internet bandwidth.
That's where like I didn't have high hopes for this, but I was intrigued because I figured it would mean Sony at least had some sort of better connection with the Portal and the PlayStation, but the reviews I saw all essentially said that the playing experience itself was pretty much the same as any other.
No, it's just remote play. The entire thing that you're going for when you buy this is that you get the full DualSense with the screen is actually pretty good from everything that I've seen that have reviewed it from a visual clarity and motion standpoint. It's not like the brightest screen you're ever going to see. But under $200, you're not really going to see a lot of screen brightnesses over 600 nits.
The real kicker for me is, and this is like the connection back to like, the backbone and mobile, essentially mobile gaming, and really begs the question, why does this device exist? Is the fact that there is no internet browser on it. So
you can't watch porn.
Sure, yes, that is an issue. But no, when you're like, if you're trying to actually use it outside the house, with
certain hotels and
with
airports and stuff
with like a
internet browser authentication,
a public network, that requires authentication. Usually, it takes you to like a browser that you have to accept.
If you're going somewhere and they're requiring you to authenticate to use their Wi-Fi, they're tracking all the shit you're browsing, all the porn you're watching. They got a high-speed definition feed in their office that they're also watching alongside.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah. Enjoy.
I know I should care more about like my data protection, but at this point in my life, I don't fucking care.
No, I'm just like, it's always funny to see which places do it, and you can always like hotels are always looking to skim a little bit of data off you. Because
I went to a bowling alley with my nephew last weekend or weekend
Don't be
and a
watching
half ago.
Porn there.
No, but like I had to check something for work. I had to see if like I was getting like, because it was up in the air if I had to go to a meeting or not, if I had to leave at a certain time. And I have no signal because I'm up in East Bumfuck, Vermont. So it's like I got to log into their fucking internet, and I had to go through the whole rigmarole of accepting terms of service. But so it's like you can't do that on the portal. What you have to then do is connect to the internet via your phone, and then tether the portal to your phone via hotspot. So it's like you're still using your phone's internet. So
if you're a true mobile gamer, you've got your phone hooked up to a VPN, and then you're hotspotting.
It's just like at that point again, it's just like you're back to just using your phone, which already had the ability to remote play for like basically no extra cost. Because it's like, again, with this thing, you have to have the PS5. So at this point, you have a controller that you can connect to it, and you have to use the internet on your phone anyway. So why not just use your fucking phone?
You see, I was doing some shower thoughts.
Spend $200 to still do the exact same shit. It's just like, it really does not make sense to me. It's like, this is purely a device made to be on your home network while you're on the toilet, in bed, or the annoying kids need to watch Cocomelon. That's it.
Yeah.
Which has use case. There are people out there who this will help them play more games.
Which, generally speaking, I was discussing this yesterday at D&D. Why I think they went this route is that if it fails, it's easier to just be like, it was a niche accessory. We ran it for a couple small runs, it didn't pick up, and we canceled it. Versus the investment that you would have to go into for a full handheld PS5 to then be doing the thing where you're creating a split SKU, where you have to tell your first party developers they have to make a portable like 1080p 60 frames per second like acceptable version, and I
think that's the
PS5 version alongside it.
Honestly, still cowardly to go that route, but I get it.
Yeah, no, I agree, Ben.
So,
I think that's it.
Let me tell you about my shower thought this morning while I was reaching higher planes of existence.
Jerking off.
I was thinking about what they could possibly do to alleviate some of that issue and try to like make it more where it'd be like, think about like for the PS6, what if the PS6 was a hybrid like the Switch type console, but when you dock it, it's an external graphics card that boosts the graphics up to that 4K full plus experience that you're used to experiencing from a full Sony console launch. But when you pull it off, the integrated graphics can play at a 1080p 60 and be fine.
I don't know. I think if they did that, there might be a Japanese civil war.
Yeah, well, probably. Because I was also thinking about like physically how you could make that work with like a disk drive, where it's like you could have the disk drive on the stand, and as long as like it's powered, you could have the handheld maybe like call back to the system and like turn on the disk drive to authenticate for play.
As much as I loved the UMD whole gimmick of the PSP, they don't need to do that. I would be okay. And yes, it would limit some functionality, but I would be okay if it was a digital only device. Like I've said this many times. Like if I could, if it was like seen more almost as an accessory to the subscription service, it would make the subscription service even more appealing. You know,
Well,
it would to get that extensive library.
So the thought process that brought me
to buy premium versus something
the thought
else
process that brought me to the hybrid system concept was that if they made a dedicated handheld PS5, it would cost more than a regular PS5. It would be $600+ without even like a hesitation.
Well, right. I mean, the high-end Steam Decks, you know, are
like it would be without even blinking,
PS5.
it would be $600+. I would not doubt $700+. Because
I think you should call Sony. Hey, Mr. Sony, because I think it is a good idea that, like, you know, the when it's in the stand, that's just an additional graphics card.
I mean, that's been my thought since the Switch came out, that like all you would have to do for a Switch Pro is release a dock and software update that allows it to externally boost a GPU.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
Giving out too many free ideas.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm gladly going to give them out to people for free if they want to do all the hard work of making it actually fucking happen.
I find it just difficult to gauge
the
success of this launch, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think most of the Sony accessory launches have been pretty mediocre, to be honest.
One of the interesting splits that I've seen when discussing it was bringing up the fact that it was like, well, it's $200, and it's like, well, so is the Edge. Like there are other Sony, like they have the new earbuds are also $200. Like $200 is kind of their like premium accessory price at this point.
No, I don't think success will be able to be judged until we see, you know.
I still want to buy it. I was actually a little bummed out that it sold out because I was like, oh, it won't be that big of a deal. Like I'll be able to go like a couple days in, don't have to worry about anything. I can buy
folks, one. Spam ponies in the chat. Do it.
Go
now.
For it. Call it. I ride the lightning, baby.
The more I think about it, man, I think you are right that it's, you know, just gonna be an accessory that failed. They got their money. You know,
and like I've read some stuff that they've been developing this since 2017, which kind of makes sense. And that originally it was a DualShock 4, and it was kind of like their way of bringing back, because the Vita could remote play the PS4 and like bringing that to a better device. So like
just upgrading the tech they kind of already have, so that, you know, and then making some money off it. And
I mean, there is some fun parts here where it's like the Vita did originally launch for like $200. It's like you could have bought the Vita in its entirety for $200 in 2013 when it launched. But $200 then isn't $200 now. I'll explain it later. But that's all I got for the Portal. I'm intrigued enough to try out the experience. And I would be, like I said before, I would be less intrigued by it if someone came up with a more luxurious way of mating DualSense controls with my phone in a way that doesn't feel like someone's engineering is my passion fucking 3D printed project.
Andrew, do you think you're the only other one who is remotely interested in this? I have 0 to negative interest in this product.
I don't know. Once it goes on sale, there'll be a time it gets me probably, but like I'm not gonna buy it right now. I want it. I do want it, but like I don't want it.
You're ashamed, rightfully so.
Yeah, I'm addicted to anything that gives me full DualSense controls, and the DualSense is such a good controller.
I do like the DualSense controls. I do love the haptics.
When I was playing D&D yesterday, the dude that got that haul was like, "I've been an Xbox dude my whole life," and he's like, "That DualSense controller is something special." Mm-hmm. It was like you've been touched by the hand of a Japanese god.
I mentioned the likelihood of a Japanese civil war if they were to come out with a Switch competitor,
a handheld hybrid.
So another civil war that seems to be brewing that is, you know, going to be my transition today. Like I was I was thinking about this as my story is about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and the back and forth that's been going on with is it alive, is it dead, is it not?
It's dead. It's alive. I won't talk about it.
But we're so the main scoops that we got came from, you know, renowned insiders and journalists Jeff Grubb and Jason Schreier. And as I was thinking about it again in the shower this morning, getting the shower thoughts going, I'm like,
jerking off.
That seems to happen more frequently than I had
that Jeff
originally
and
thought.
Jason,
they seem to be like at odds with each other. I mean, I'm sure that they're totally amicable.
Yeah,
but it's like
I'm sure
that they get seem to be completely always like.
I'm sure gaming journalism has the exact same type of competitiveness.
Yes, I know where you're going.
Sports journalism has.
For sure it does. Absolutely,
and the narrative counter narrative that you'll get from guys who have player insight versus guys who have agent insight versus ownership insight.
This is gaming's Woj versus Shams.
Oh man, I love me a 3 a.m. Woj bomb.
I don't know what you're talking to, but those names are very funny.
They're basketball reporters. They're the two guys who report all the big things. And a Woj bomb is when he tweets out like LeBron James has requested a trade, or Kevin Durant has requested to leave the
completely baseless. That shit's completely baseless too. I love it. I love the hustle.
Yeah,
they're great.
Well, like I don't know. I constantly will see like Jeff Grubb will come out with this statement that like
game dead,
game dead, or nobody likes this shit, and then Jason Schreier will actually be like,
the people I talk to.
Yeah, I actually have X number. And I tend to lean more, like if I had to pick, I tend to lean more in the Jason Schreier camp because his sourcing. He
talks to the actual workers.
But it's like, yes, and his sourcing seems more thorough. And like he obviously, being a journalist is not going to name confidential sources, but he'll do things like say, I spoke to an explicit number of people, like, in this department, in that department, where Jeff Grubb's comments kind of, and this is no hate to Jeff Grubb, is to.
Oh, I love Jeff Grubb when he makes rumors that affirm what
click generator. He's a click generator.
It kind of seems that way because it's just like he just like will just make these kind of vague comments. And because most of the things that cause headlines is he's not like publishing. I mean, Giant Bomb does, publication stuff, but like it's most of the shit just comes on him doing his podcast. It's just him talk. It's him talking where, maybe this is like an elitist, coastal elitist bias of mine that like, Jason Schreier's mostly come out in writing. His scoops are done
a real medium
in writing.
Yeah, something you can put your name to.
Granted, in this case, Grubbs was on a podcast and Jason Schreier's was a tweet. So,
real medium,
not a full story. Not a full
you mean
story.
An X?
No, I don't.
Dead naming X.
Good.
The man who famously dead names his own children.
Yeah, say if doing that, maybe you'd think maybe Elon would actually be supportive of that. But yeah, so to the actual story, it's like the back and forth. Is Knights of the Republic remake dead? Is it alive? Is it dead? Is anybody working on it? When the Jeff Grubb thing came out, I like was going back in our group chat and I'm like, you know what? Like, I phrase like this is like, I don't know if this is cope on my end because I want this game to come out and to succeed. I want to play a modern KOTOR.
You said they were working on something else, so that they might not be working on it right this instant because they're finishing up
Saber. So Saber, we following the trajectory of events, started with Aspire, who all
pissing and shitting themselves.
Yeah, well, this is there's a whole other context going around that these are all Embracer Group subsidiaries, and Embracer Group is fucking imploding. When
they just lay off 900 people.
Another tangent. The Embracer Group shit is really fun. Is really weird to me. I don't know like what to think about this because seeing the employees, let go sucks. It's terrible. It's really bad. I do not like that. Yet you also kind of need to square the circle that it's good that they're not getting $2+ billion from fucking Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Like, let's not forget that like, having Saudi Arabia, like, kind of worm their way into the gaming industry is really insidious and gross.
Not great.
I
mean, like, it's already too late.
Yeah, famous human rights abusers, love to, and
you're wrong,
funders of extremist groups love to
they hosted the World Cup
do gaming
2 summers ago, or a summer ago, and you're wrong. So it was an overwhelming success.
Yeah,
international heroes,
and how many wage slaves died in the in the building of all those?
What? Huh?
How many migrant slaves died building these structures and stadiums? Yeah, so
it was a noble
but they
cause.
had jobs. They had jobs. I don't.
Yeah. It also technically wasn't Saudi Arabia.
No, it's Qatar. Correct. It was Qatar.
Yeah,
Qatar. Yeah,
Qatar.
But still, Saudi, like, it's wild. It's just this whole thing is wild. It's like, yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen, but bummed that it has resulted in.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, like, not to pile a little bit, but like Embracer Group as a whole, like the people that, like, the groups that they've laid off from haven't released things worth celebrating, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer
in
to
the
see,
nicest way possible.
It's a bummer to see a kind of a classic studio like Volition get shuttered, but
yeah.
This was another story, another tangent, but like the Saints Row reboot was almost completely different in what we as fans actually wanted, but the execs were like, no, we're going to do a quirky,
I was reading that story and it felt like
quirky reboot. Yeah, my
it felt like
was
the Thunder Gun.
This is my Jonkler moment. I've gone
felt like a Thunder Gun
mode.
Maximum Cool episode where it's like you got the woke version.
Yes. Oh my god, it's like one of the rare cases
they have the version where they
going
hang
woke
dong.
does make them go broke. It's just it's bad. Okay, but so rounding back to KOTOR, it's just so starting off with Aspyr, who largely made successful ports of lots of Star Wars games. The Switch ports are thought of pretty highly, with the exception of the class action lawsuit being made against them for not
finishing the DLC.
Yeah, for not including the DLC that they promised that they would for KOTOR 2. But although I think that suit got tossed out recently. But yeah, so Aspyr was like largely successful for that, but they're like a porting studio. Like that's not really, it was a little odd that they were the ones who were selected to head up this monumental project that, like, should be a big deal to Embracer. This is a property that they should handle with care, because if they do, they will make a shit ton of money, which was the biggest indication to me that something about Jeff Grubb's break didn't make sense. I don't see this as a game that they're willing to give up.
I don't either.
It makes sense to me that
there's too much on the line.
And it's like, particularly with how precarious things are with Embracer right now, that if they get this right, this could be like a saving grace for them. They need, the hit, and I don't see how they're willing to give this up. Yeah, things are back to the drawing board because the vertical slice that Aspyr gave them was so bad that pretty much the entire management team was fired. But so then it moved to Saber Interactive.
The expedience with which that happened was wild.
They're like, "Oh, we're so excited to show you this prototype that we've got for you." Sony and Embracer execs take a look at it. It's like, you're fired.
I remember the news of it, and it was like in the morning, like to show off like vertical slice later, and it was like a day afterwards. It was like most of the people at Aspyr have been removed from the project
and fired from the studio, like not just removed from the project, but fired. Fired. So it moves to Saber Interactive, a more reputable is not the right word, but like qualified, I guess, studio to handle a project of this size. I mean, folks, look at what they're doing, what we've seen so far with the Space Marine 2. It looks awesome. It looks incredible, looks beautiful, looks gorgeous. And like a technical, like I hope it releases in a technically sound state, because it's boggling, boggles the mind to see, like, say, the number of like enemies that they have on screen at any one time with a fucking Tyranid swarm is just insane to think about how they're managing that, the scale of the things that they're dealing with. But so that has made me think, okay, yeah, they're going back to the drawing board, giving it to a more qualified studio. There's no way this is coming out anytime soon. Since that news broke a while back, that has been my feeling. It's like, okay, they've completely scrapped everything that Aspire worked on. They're back to like the real pre-production phase, which is usually like a couple people on the creative team are like drafting fucking documents and doing some
minor sketches and shit.
Yeah, they're doing
storyboarding,
concept art. And I mean, with a game like this, they don't have to really do storyboarding so much because the story's already fucking there.
No, but like you still do have to sketch out. You're remaking the game, how some of the story and stuff plays out.
Well, yeah, this presented. One, because it has to be built from the ground up, technically speaking, because none of these assets are reusable in any way. It's a much, I hope not. It's a much different kind of remake. It's than say something like The Last of Us.
Yeah,
remakes.
So if this was
can't just be like reused and upscaled. That can't happen.
Yeah. If this was marketed how it was when it was originally unveiled, early in the PS5 life cycle, and then they like release it and it's just an up-resed original KOTOR.
No, there's no way that's going to happen. So to me, I'm like, yeah. And particularly, we also got the news that that Space Marine 2 has been pushed back to the second half of 2024. That that they are really working to make sure that game is good. Which, yes, sad for me. I'm excited to play that game, but I want the game to be really good.
I mean, it's better to. We've always said it's better to release in a state that's acceptable than to release at Dark Tide levels.
Yeah. So I like, and that's like the trend you get with most Warhammer games. So which is why I'm like really got my fucking fingers crossed for that Rogue Trader.
Come on, Eurojank.
It comes out well in a couple weeks. But so in my mind, it's like, yeah, like 3 people are working on this at right now. This is not a priority for them, but there's like,
and Jason spoke to all of them.
Yeah, and it's that appears to be the thing. Is he's like, at least the 2 people that Jason Schreier spoke with, they are in that part of the that pre-production. Basically, they've completely gone back to the drawing board. So it's like, yeah, who do you lend more credence to? Jeff Grubb or Jason Schreier in this situation. And it's like, as I'm trying to do the
it's too late, Jeffrey. I've made you the soy jack, and I've made Jason the Chad.
Yeah, I don't see how this is truly dead. And it's because what this also ties into the whole bit with Sony delisting all the videos and trailers and all that shit, and their claim about it being like, music license and stuff. Copyright. Because to me it's like, okay, that is believable in the sense that, like, yes, this has truly gone back to the drawing board
with
it's like that this has gone back to the drawing board. They've completely scrapped any mention of it so that people can't point to being like, oh, but you said it was going to be like this type of thing, where it's like, if they're completely starting at the beginning. And then also the things about licenses, it's like, yeah, we have now no idea when this game is going to come out. Why would we keep paying for the license? We'll wait until we have a better idea of what's going on, and we'll do a new trailer.
Plus, it's not like there's any shortage of Star Wars games upcoming. Because you've got like
they want to release one a year.
Yeah, because next year's what, Outlaws?
Outlaws,
that
I think.
Ubisoft one.
Yeah. I'm foolishly optimistic that could be good.
I mean, I'm foolishly optimistic about Avatar, so I understand it.
I love seeing a commando droid in a fucking duster. Yeah, I love that idea.
It's a sick duster, yeah.
Yeah, it would only be better if it was 3 Jawas in a trench coat. But yeah, I'm on the Jason Schreier train at the moment. However, he has said in that same post that He's like, I don't know if this game ever comes out. Not saying that this means it's going to come out, but it's currently, yes, still being worked on at some capacity.
It hasn't been officially killed.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know if I'm just coping to the extreme, but I don't know. Where do you guys think?
With you.
Do you think it's still on life support?
Yeah,
I think so.
It's
I don't
in the
think
back. It's in the back to tank.
Scrap. You know,
in the
it may
BAFTA
come
tank.
out. It may not come out until the PS6
Yeah.
in like 10 years.
I was just thinking it's more likely to be a PS6, PS5 cross launch title.
Yeah.
Than it is to be
it's definitely not
something
PS5
for
game.
sure.
It's not going to be shelved forever. Like I don't think this is a game that they would start unless something like really, crazy happened, another sale of Lucasfilm
or something. Yeah, or so like Lucasfilm is like, no, we can't trust you with this anymore. We're taking it back.
Turns out that Star Wars, as just an entire IP, is just a pedophile. Like,
I mean, another interesting thing is you never know exactly what these contracts might have in them, and it may have a set period that they have to perform, because they can't have just like an infinite license to build this. And again, I don't know exactly how they work, but my thought would be that there is some sort of timeline that they have to complete it in, and maybe the licensing reverts back, and then maybe they don't have to pay a fee or they do pay a fee, whatever. So they could also be waiting for that, and then Lucasfilms will have to resell it or put it at another studio. But even in that type of scenario, I don't think that this project will be shit canned forever. It'll find a home, and it will be remade. It has too much of like a cult following and critical success to not be remade. They've hyped it up too much. It's just like Metroid Prime 4. It'll happen.
Oh yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is definitely more likely again to be a Switch 2 game cross launch.
Yeah. It's one of those games that will happen.
It's too big. It's too big to fail, folks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo is kind of riding super high right now on just the fact that like pretty much most of their major IP that they've released this generation have just like done bigger numbers than they've ever done before.
Fucking gangbusters.
Partially because the Switch's install base is just really good. Like one of Nintendo's best install bases they've ever had for a console, which is why they've brought all the good games to it. Mostly just Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. That's all you really need.
For sure.
That's like 600 hours of content right there.
The next like big break in game releases that I'm tracking happens. Xenoblade 2 will be my next time sink.
Then I'll get to ask you, redhead or blonde?
Yeah. Instinct right now is to lean redhead.
Yep, correct.
Solid choice.
Yeah, that's my
good instincts always.
Yeah, that's my.
I mean, unless you like being denigrated, which is
there is a little bit there. Like yes, there's a little bit to like there for sure. The degradation kink definitely does.
That's the Jew in you.
Is alive and well. Yeah. Absolutely.
Catholics and Jews have that running.
You love to be a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next one, which I'm pulling up the article that you sent, Andrew, and funnily enough, it's another Jason Schreier piece.
The goat.
We're just rebroadcasting his info.
Yeah, that's basically how our news.
Jason Schreier orbiters, is that the term people use?
I mean, we should become reply guys. Mm-hmm. Jason Schreier reply guys. We should do that. We've said it before, but we should do it.
A fun arc for the pod.
This whole saga, as it's been unleashed, has been enjoyable for me to watch on the outside. It's been an interesting saga on its own.
Oh, I'm eating on this slop. It is immensely funny to me. We got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the 2023 edition, released. What was it? November 10th, I think, right around there.
It looks like it around early November, I think.
Yeah, and folks were not thrilled with the game in its delivered state, but that didn't stop them from playing. So
everyone was mad about it, and then a week later, it was the highest played Call of Duty of all time. It's like, oh,
yeah,
good job being mad, guys.
Because let's not forget that like what was so roundly panned was the campaign that like nobody plays. Yes, there are the real sickos who, pay for like the deluxe edition that gets them early access to play this campaign that by all accounts lasts all of 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Imagine paying 20 extra bucks to get 3 hours of pre-play.
That are just recycled fucking Warzone maps.
Crazy. If there's an argument to be made for where games as a service is a good thing, it's Call of Duty and sports franchises. And essentially what they did with this version is they live serviced it. They took what was going to be an expansion DLC and turned it into a full game.
You had to insert fucking Modern Warfare 2 into your console.
Yeah.
It didn't even have full trophy support.
Nope. No, that's too much to ask. But like we said, nonetheless, this game still sold well. It's performing well. So here's the thing. They did a little bit of funniness with their numbers because it didn't sell as well, but it did have the most, what do they describe it as? Like essentially it's describe engagement time of any Call of Duty release.
Okay. Highest concurrent player count.
Yeah, highest. It was that and the most hours per player of any game within the first 2 weeks. So I guess, yeah, that's a success because I'm sure they made money. And, we're just letting them force more slop down our throats and gamers are eating regardless.
You saw so many like COD content creators and shit being like, you can't let doing the Breaking Bad meme. They can't keep getting away with this. Like we got to hold them to account. And then, you see, 10 days later, they're like, look at the fucking sweet double kill I got. I got my first nuke in the game. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, Activision, for making the best, they have to specify the best multiplayer version ever.
No,
the apologia was pretty quick. It was
once you get to start killing brown people in game, it's all over.
Yeah,
it's Jover. It's Jover, folks.
Yeah, I
that's why CS2 did so well, because the basic premise of terrorist versus counter-terrorist always just sits very well with people.
Yeah, but people loved being the Taliban based.
Based is right. But yeah, so Call of Duty, we got delivered a full shit show of a product, not even a real game. Full price though, and
don't forget like 200 gigabytes. But then they'll be like, oh, but you don't need all 200. You can undownload the campaign because you're never gonna play it. And somehow the 3-hour campaign is 50 fucking gigabytes.
Yeah, when Matt sent that article, just the caption underneath was just unserious company. I was laughing. I was definitely
love
laughing
you,
at that.
but you are not serious people.
No, they are not. They're very much not. It's just like
neither are Call of Duty players. So
no, they are not.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah. It really upsets me to see how successful this is. Both as just as
haters.
I say as what?
Haters. As player haters.
Oh yeah, we are definitely player hating.
I think it is an interesting like cultural phenomenon.
Mike's been real quiet because he's secretly been playing Modern Warfare 3.
this entire podcast, he's been playing the
No.
campaign.
That's why I shut the camera off.
I'll say
Yeah,
almost done with it.
No, cam went off because I had unstable internet connection. But COD is kind of like an interesting cultural phenomenon in that it got to like become so popular and reached like the height of its popularity right after 9/11. You know, the years.
Well, I mean, it didn't exist before 9/11, if I don't remember correctly.
There was
Like, it
other
launched in,
like
like,
shooting
2002
games
was
and
the
like
first
war
one.
games, and yeah, no, correct, but that it wasn't existent before. But what I'm saying is like it came out at
2003
a
was 2003 was the first one. So would
It-
have started its production, and would have been
The Pentagon walked
heavy,
over and
heavy into its
dumped the
production
truckload.
right around then. Yeah.
well, I mean, just my point being that it came into a specific cultural, period in time in the
Zeitgeist.
United States in 2003. In the subsequent releases of it, all the way through like 2008 to 2010, say that period when it's leading up to its like huge build. There's more and more people playing video games, more and more people that
At least they were more
like,
subtle in
into
its
the war,
propaganda. At least they were
supporting.
more subtle in its propaganda
Well, I mean,
than because
early
it was
Call
World
of
War
Duty was
II.
always historical.
It was World
Yeah.
War II,
Yeah.
so it's like they can disguise the propaganda and the
Yes.
shit by it's be like, yes, we are promoting patriotism through like the one good war that America
This is
America
exactly
did.
how Stalingrad worked out.
Well,
Exactly.
And so
one soldier saved the entire mission.
in that time period, not only do you have like the video games, but you also have in TV so much TV revolving around
Operators.
terrorism and
24.
and exactly.
Oh
So
my god.
but we've seen that peter out, the like movies and shit peter out, but there's something like I guess carnal to for young children playing fucking COD that has like created this
Well, it's because it allows
longevity
them to let out their
beyond
inner
the like
racism.
pro-war imperialism that we had during that time, which may be seeing a revival you know eh, because of recent events. But again, the TV kind of petered out, but COD remained as this like cultural touchstone of
You see the
that
funnier one to me
nationalism, that
is that
propaganda.
they have stuck with the they tried to say we're not going to do yearly COD anymore, and now we're on year 3 after they said that of having a yearly COD.
Yeah.
Fun fact there, but we're not even getting new CODs anymore because they've already said next year's Call of Duty, which again another year where they're releasing one after saying they weren't.
Yep. Yeah, but they're not new ones,
is
so
Black
they're not
Ops.
releasing a COD every year.
They're just they're doing the. Is it a sequel to Black Ops in Black Ops 2, or is
No,
it just
it's like what they're
it's
doing
the
with
reboot for Modern Warfare, like they did for Modern
Yeah.
Warfare? God damn.
And
Reduce,
and
reuse,
and
recycle.
on top of all of that, they are crunching their employees for this shit. Like,
And you
they
know why they're
are-
doing this?
They are
It's so that they
screwing
can
them over.
they can control the search so that like in the future when people look up Call of Duty Black Ops, they get funneled to the newest version. They can't find, they have to type the year in to get the proper date one.
It's all
Yeah,
SEO optimism.
Yeah, that the piece that you shared with us though, Andrew, like does talk a lot about getting insights from the workers. That it's like the majority of them thought this was an expansion, thought it was going to have more time, say it was going to have more time, and then when they're like, oh nope, it's a full game, they're like, yeah, you don't get to have friends or family anymore.
No more weekends.
We're chaining you to your desk. You shit in a bucket.
So you say it like that, but the way we view it is we're shaving your living costs.
We're your family now.
Yeah.
Providing you food.
Yeah, we're providing you with a
meals.
kitchen, so you don't have to pay for electricity to cook your food anymore. But you can buy your food from the company store
with company script. Yeah.
Yep, we give you company credit.
Activision bucks.
And you're gonna be absolutely embarrassed by the final product.
Yeah.
You're going
that's
to
the
be
kicker.
actively requesting to have your name removed from the credits.
Yeah.
it is definitely depressing to see the flip of, because it's like you get that, you get fooled and you get that glimmer of hope. It's like, oh my God, are COD fans finally coming to the light? Have they found Jesus? No.
Never.
Satan has his firm grasp around them. He will never let them go.
Satan always prevails.
He does. And I think that will do it for us.
And now Satan is controlled by Microsoft.
Yes. Which, it's can only get better. Can only get better from here, folks, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. Well, that'll do it for today, folks. Thank you, boys, for sharing your stories this week. Let's see what is on the agenda.
We'll be sharing some news stories next week.
From the
talking about my adventures as a Yakuza thug.
We will be doing my game pick of the year for the month of December. We will be talking about Yakuza 0. That is I gotta do some prep work and some refreshing of memory, because I played this early in the year, so I need to seeing you guys play and talking to you guys about what you've done has brought a lot back. But I do want to refresh my memory and do some more research into the series and in terms of its production and history and how Zero got made. So that's what I'm gonna be doing this week. And then I think in the month of December we'll only have one other episode of the pod. It will be our year-end wrap-up that we will be doing as basically our version of the Game Awards. That's another thing I need to put some work into, is revisiting our categories and getting that out to you guys so you can think about your nominations, and we can be hopefully I'll have power this year, so I don't have to trek to Matt's with my microphone and laptop and all that. Fingers crossed that I'm able to get that done. And besides that, you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/campaignComrades. Ooh, there's another thing that I'll talk to you guys later on, and I keep forgetting to bring up. One thing I want to implement is, I'm pretty sure we can even as affiliates can co-stream at this point now. I think that Twitch is letting you co-stream now on places like YouTube and other things. So that's something that I want to try to set up. I'm like 99% sure that that's true.
Yeah,
it was like in one of the newer updates. I mean, it's probably like a month or so ago now, but so be on the lookout. You might see us streaming live on YouTube as well. We will be at we'll be we're doing some new stuff content wise. Hopefully got some exciting things, like doing some tabletop one-shot episodes here on the podcast in the new year. But those things will take shape as they will, and we will see you in the next one. Bye everybody.